everyone, it's Arlene from Arlene's Creations, and today I am going to attempt to redo this table that I found in the garbage. So, as you can see, it's the top is terrible. Has a lot of cigarette burn marks on it down here. And what I want to do is I want to stain the top and paint the bottom part white with chalk paint. So the first thing to do is in this spray bottle, I have a product called White Lightning, and it's from Dixie Belle. So I'm just gonna spray down the whole piece and clean it really well. I have a whole bunch of cloths that I got from Home Depot. So I'm just gonna clean it with the White Lightning before I start sanding. I'll lift it up on its side and do all the legs very well. Now, anytime you start a new piece, you should always make sure that it's cleaned thoroughly, whether you're painting or staining or before you sand. So I'm just going to tilt this up. Let me see if you're still in focus. No. Like I said, I'm not gonna film me cleaning the entire piece, because I'm probably gonna spray this down and do it twice. But just to show you how well this White Lightning from Dixie Bell works, look at that. So I'm just going to continue to clean this whole entire piece, then I'll show you what's next. And I'm working inside today, so I have a huge plastic drop cloth on my floor. If my husband knew I was doing this in the house, he'd kill me. But I think we're going to have like scattered showers throughout the day, and I really wanted to try to get this done. So I just didn't want the rain hitting it after I stain it or after I paint it. So that's why I'm doing it in here, and hopefully I have it done and it's dried before he gets home from work. So I'm just going to clean this whole piece and I'll be back. Okay, so my table is totally sprayed down with the White Lightning twice and wiped down. That was this rag, how dirty it was. Then what you want to do after that is go in with a clean rag that's dampened with water and just wipe it down again. And then this is how it came out. So this was a clean white rag that I just ran under water and then wiped the White Lightning off of the table, and that's how much more dirt came off. So I'm going to let this dry for a little bit. And then I'm going to start sanding the top. I want to get the top done first because the Dixie Belle white chalk paint dries very fast on the bottom, and the top, the stain, is going to take longer to dry. Plus with the polyurethane. Okay, so what I decided to do instead of sanding it right away is I forgot I had some stripper stuff. I'll show you what it is. I had this out in the garage. It's called Easy Strip. And I'm just going to pour some on. I'm going to leave it on for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then I'm just going to scrape, just in case if there's like a varnish or anything on here. And I'm just going to do it with a chip brush. And on the edges a little bit. This will ensure that any varnish that's on here, any paint on the sides, it looks like there's some paint from I don't know when, it's not from me. But this is a solid wood table, and I found it in the garbage. And it was a challenge getting it in my car, my truck, whatever you want to call it, my SUV. And it was very, very heavy. But I got it home. Only for the fact that it's solid wood, because it's very, very hard to find solid wood pieces these days. I should be wearing a mask, but I forgot to buy one. Little, please go inside. You shouldn't be here breathing this. Come on, baby. I gotta put him away. I got in the other room and close the door. But I have every single window in here open, so it's great ventilation. I got the fans going. But if you are doing this in a garage, please have really good ventilation. Like I said, it really doesn't smell that bad compared to other ones that I have encountered. I think I put a little too much on here, but that's all right. And you always want to make sure you wear heavy-duty protective gloves. Now this is just going to sit on here, like I said, for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then when I scrape it off, I'll see if there was anything on here, because it'll scrape right off. And I'm going to get my dog in the bedroom, spare bedroom down here, and then close the door so he stays in there until this process is over. Okay, so the stripper has been on for about 10 minutes now. And I did find a mask, but it's not the proper one. But at least it's something for now. So I'm just going to start at this end. I have a bag at the end. I hope it doesn't eat through the bag. I haven't stripped a piece of furniture in a really long time. This is probably going to need two times I'm going to have to do this. See all that coming off? That's all the lacquer. And whatever surface was on here. So I'm just gonna look at all that. I'm just going to put it in this bag. Like I said, I hope it don't eat through the bag. And then I have a smaller scraper that I can go around the edges with. So this process will make the sanding a little bit easier. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming off of here. Gross. gotta read up on how to dispose of this bag now. Yeah, this definitely had like a polyurethane or something on it. All right, so now I have a smaller one. See if I can't get this stuff off the sides. I'm gonna clean it up with mineral spirits, but whatever I can get off the sides here, I will, and then the rest will just come off with mineral spirits. All right, so I cleaned it up as best as I could. And now I have odorless mineral spirits from Clean Strip that I'm just going to pour all over the table and then wipe it down with cloths. And this will get any of that residue off from the stripper. All along the sides. And then when I sand, I'll be good to go. Okay, so I started sanding the table, and this is what I had on hand, so this is what I'm using. I'm starting with 80, then going to 150, and then 220 at the end. And then I have these sanding blocks, which are like 120. So then I'll hit it with this to make it a smoother finish. So I'm going to sand with the 80, see if I started a little bit. All right, so I definitely have to put some elbow grease into this. So I'm going to shut the camera off. I'm going to do the first whole layer with the 80, which maybe I should run to Home Depot and get a higher grit. I mean a lower, like a 60 or something that's coarser, because this is taking like a lot of elbow grease. And I bought this at a garage sale for like $4. So it doesn't have the bag on it. So I'm going to have some vacuum job later. But I'm going to go online and see it, because the Home Depot doesn't sell the bag separately. So I'm going to see if I can buy a bag online so I have it. But I think $3 or $4, but it works great. So I'm going to continue to sand, and then in between I'm going to do it with the tack cloth. Get everything off, go to a lower sandpaper, do the whole thing again, and then to the lowest. So I'll show you when I get the first layer off. I'll be back. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm just going around the base and I'm going to paint it white. I ended up doing another coat of the stripper on top because it was very, very hard to sand. So between the stripper and then the mineral oil, or mineral spirits rather, to get the, the rest of the stripper off, I think this will be a lot easier to sand now. But it has to completely dry. And it's probably going to take about an hour to dry. So what I'm going to do is, what I started doing was just painting around the base with my Dixie Belle fluff white. So it's going to need 2 coats. So by the time I get all the way around the table with the 1 coat, it'll be totally dry by the time I need to sand the rest of the top. This way, none of the, the dust will stick to the white paint, because the white paint will be totally dry. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to go around my base. I have my paintbrush here. And I'm just going to continue to paint the white around the whole entire bottom of the piece. Like I said, it's going to need 2 coats. And I did dust this with a tack cloth before I started painting. So I'm just going to try to hurry up and get this done, because if my husband sees me doing this in the living room, I am in big trouble. So I figure while I'm waiting for the top to dry to finish sanding it, I will just go around and paint the base 1 time. Like I said, this way it'll totally dry. And when I sand the rest of the top, then the dust will not stick to the white. So that's what I'm going to continue to do, and I will be back. Okay, so the base of my table is 2 coats of white. And I still have a few places where I have to touch it up. But for the most part, it's sanded with the 80. Now I'm going to go in with the, I think this is 150. I'm going to sand it again. And then with the 220. And then I'm ready to stain. So I'm just going to hit this. On again. Oh, this has been some project to sand this table, and it's so muggy and hot today. I had to take my hat off. I know I look like who did it and ran, but I really don't care. Oh, sawdust is everywhere. I have 3 hours to get this stained and dried and everything cleaned up before Greg gets home. So I think I'll have it done. Oh yeah, a lot smoother already. So I'm going to shut the camera off, do one last pass with the 220 sandpaper, and then I'm going to start staining it. So I will return. All right, so I ended up doing one last sanding with the sand block, very fine, wiping it off with a tack cloth so there's no dust. And I have my Jacobean stain here. I was going to use the Dixie Bell Espresso, but I'm not really sure what that looks like. And this, I know what it looks like. So I'm just gonna dip my cloth in here. And go very gently because I don't want to get it on the white. Even if I do, I'll just have to sand that area and then repaint it. It's not a big deal at this point. And I like it dark. I don't know if I'm going to wipe it off or not. There is a lot of imperfections in this wood that I see here, and I even really tried to sand that really good, and I just didn't have the energy anymore. So I'm just going to go around. You want to go with the grain. It's so hot in this house right now, I'm dying. Well, I must say it looks a hell of a lot better than it did. I don't think I'm going to get to polyurethane it today. I don't know how long this is going to take to dry. So this way it'll give me a chance to clean up this house because it's a mess. I was able to get all the, most of them anyhow, the burn marks. Uh-oh, I'm dripping. Just want this going in one direction. All right, so I'm going to continue working on this. I don't know if I'm going to wipe any off or not. And maybe if it does dry in an hour, I can, what do you call it? Put at least one coat of polyurethane on it. All right, so I'm going to play around with this, but you get the gist of what it's looking like. So hopefully, I'm going to go over it with the rag and wipe it a little bit. Because I think it might be a little too dark. But we'll see. I'll be back. All right, guys. So this is the final step. I have my Gator hide here in one of these FIFO, I forget how you pronounce it, FIFO bottles, FIFO. So I'm just shaking it really well. This is from Dixie Belle. Also, this applicator sponge is from Dixie Belle. And I very, very lightly dampened it. So I'm going to do a very light coat. I'm going to let it dry. Then I'm going to sand it with the sanding block. Let me grab it. It's over here on my dining room table. And it's a 220. It's a 220 sanding block. I'll sand it lightly, then do another coat, sand it lightly, and then do a heavy coat for the third one. Now, I'm kind of pressed for time. It's already almost 3:30 in the afternoon. The hubby's going to be home in an hour. So this dries fairly quickly, but I don't know if it's going to dry for me to do all the coats. So I'm just going to squirt a little bit of this in here. Now, this is dampened a little tiny bit. And I'm just going to dunk this in. like so, and then wipe off the excess. I'm going to start in the middle, and then just bring it to the two ends. I'll go along this edge. Again, I'm going to dunk my sponge, wipe it off, and go to the edge. Now you don't want to go, if you miss any spots, you can hit it with the second coat, because you don't want to keep going over it and over it. You want to just let this one dry. It dries fairly quickly. Okay, I think I need more gator hide in here. I'm gonna step in front of the camera for a second, sorry. You always want to give it a good shake. And if you ever have any gator hide left in your bowl, you never want to put it back into your bottle. You don't want to contaminate it. So again, I'm just going to dip the sponge and wipe the excess off. And then go from the middle to the end, to the middle, to the end. I'm really loving these Dixie Belle products. They're so easy to work with. What I really have to get is a Dixie Belle paintbrush. It's like $45, but all the videos I've watched on it, they say it's amazing. So it's an investment that you got to, you know, you got to take care of it. So I'm going to continue to do this all the way down. And I'm not pressing very heavy. I'm just going very lightly. I'll go around this edge. I'll go around this edge. And like I said, in between coats, I'm going to do a light sand and then do another coat. So again. I know, Monkey, it's hot in here. I see a couple of little, I don't know what they are. I'm just going to take them off. If a hair or something seems to stick to your sponge, when you do the light sanding in between each coat, that'll come off. Okay. There we go. So I'm going to let this dry. It dries so quickly. I'm going to rinse out my sponge with warm water and then hit it again. I'm going to do this like 3 or 4 times. I'll be back. And then we'll see how the final product looks. Okay, so the gator hide really only took like 15 minutes to dry. So what I'm going to do, I'm not putting any pressure. I'm just doing a very light sanding. Very, very light sanding. That's all it really needs. You can see how it's getting a little bit gray now. You want to go with the grain of the wood. So now what I'm gonna do, excuse me, is I'm going to take one of those, these are the staining pads, and I'm just gonna lightly get this dust off. I want to get all that dust off on the sides. As you can see, the dust from the sanding. And then I'm going to do another light coat of Gator hide. And I'm going to repeat this process probably like 3 times. And then the last coat's going to be a little bit heavier. Dunk it in, wipe it off, start in the middle, and go back and forth. I'm going to do the edges real quick. Dunk it in, wipe it off, and this is damp. You want to start in the middle. Make sure there's no streaks, and you're not putting a lot of pressure. You're just gliding this along the wood. You do want to make sure that this is a little damp, not dry. And you put it in your Gator hide. This Gator hide, I just want to mention also, is 100% waterproof. So if you're doing outside furniture, the water will just bead right off of it. And I see I missed the spot there, but you don't want to go over it too much because it does dry so quickly. You can always hit that on the next coat. So I'm just going to continue to do this 2 more times, and then I'll show you the final product, guys. Took me all day, but it's done. And I'm excited because I think it's going to be dried by the time the hubby gets home. That was my main concern. Again, I'm going to hit the edges. Let me hit this in the front. And while you're waiting for your piece to dry, you want to definitely always wash out your brush. Well, your sponge. And this works so perfect. I love it. Very inexpensive at DixieBelle.com. And yeah, so I think this is going to turn out nice. Let me do 2 more coats. I'm going to be sanding in between each one, and then I'll show you the finished table. All right, so my sponge is clean from the last pass I did. I sanded it lightly with that sanding sponge, 220 grit. And now for the thick coat, which I'm nervous about because I don't want it to streak. So I have a little bit more Gator hide in my bowl here. So I'm going to just dip the whole thing and then wipe it off. Yeah, I'm very nervous about this. So I want a thick coat and I don't want it to be streaky. And you don't want to press too hard. You want to press very lightly. This is so nerve-wracking, you have no idea. And thank God the lighting in here, I could see every pass I'm doing, whether it's whether it's not on the wood or not. Again, in the middle. Something right there, don't want that. Let's see, wait, something here. What the heck is this? I guess while it's wet, you can go over it, but I wouldn't go over it too many times because then that's when you streak it. Okay. Oh, my back is killing me. I'm going to be a hurting puppy tomorrow. Son of a gun. All right. Now this is going to be the final coat. So anything that's on there, you want to make sure it's not, if you don't want it. And any drips that you see, you want to make sure you get rid of them. So you see something right here, a little spot. This stuff dries so quickly, and I really shouldn't be going over it this much. I think I'm going to leave it. No, I see something over here. Okay. In the table. All right, I think that's it. Totally leaving it like this. I'm not going to play around with it anymore. I got a ton of dust to vacuum up here in this house. And I'll show you pictures at the end. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Please hit that notification bell. And I have a lot more projects coming up. Hopefully, when this dries, it'll look gorgeous. Yeah, I just need to hit the showers. It's been a long day, an exhausting day. I'm exhausted. Now I have to cook dinner. He'll be home in a little bit, so this will be totally dried. I'm so excited. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and I'll check you all in the next video. Bye-bye.